Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Sam Kieth Day, so we are looking at the next issue in his creator-owned series from Image Comics in the early 90s, The MAXX. This is issue 7, cover dated March 1994, and as you can tell from looking at the image on the cover, it is a crossover with another Image character, PITT, created by Dale Keown, guest stars in this issue. I think what Sam Kieth did here is pretty interesting. He actually included PITT into the title for this issue. So MAXX versus PITT. So it's almost like it's the MAXX issue 7, but also maybe kind of a PITT MAXX one-shot as well. Great cover. You know, the MAXX looks kind of worried by PITT, which I think most of us would be if we met him in a dark alley or wherever this is. There are some clues with the oversized props here, or again, is it that the props are oversized, or is it that these characters are small? We're going to find out within the pages. Fun cover. Nice to see Sam Kieth draw the PITT, have another interpretation of the PITT by another artist. That's always kind of what was fun of those early Image crossovers and crossovers in general. I think as fans of comic books and as artists, those of us out there who are, we kind of appreciate and like to see different versions of the character, in the sense of seeing different artists that we like interpret the character. Sometimes it's really cool, sometimes it's not, sometimes it surpasses the original, sometimes it's, you know, not so great. But yeah, it's fun to see those different visions and how people interpret how other artists draw things or create things, or, you know, what they pick up on, basically. So nice to see that here. Sam Kieth staying true to his own style, though. PITT's foot is actually bigger than the MAXX, if you can believe that, or the MAXX's feet. We've got a hint as to what's going on in this issue. Are these oversized props, or have the MAXX and PITT shrunk? Well, we're going to find out on the inside. And just a quick nod to Dale Keown. His name is on this, whatever that is, bottle of paint or ink or something like that, which Sam Kieth has cleverly used for his signature here. Great cover. Let's look inside. Sam Kieth continuing on with his circular and abstract layouts. I think it's great how he does that. It instantly makes the page more interesting, to be honest. Great kind of slightly monster movie-ish horror scene here, with a mad doctor who looks like Einstein, and all this, all these lamps and lights and things. So that's a morgue, obviously. Let's look at the credits before we move on. We got story and art Sam Kieth, dialogue by Bill Messner-Loebs, finishes or assists by Jim Sinclair, and lettering by Mike Heisler, color Steve Olive, and Ollie Optics. So basically what we have here is a guy at the morgue looking at an and then we move into Australia, where the MAXX is kind of fantasy land, and for some reason Julie's there with him. So again, we talked before about how weird this comic is. So all of a sudden they're really big and the ises are really small, and the creatures of the outback are really small. So not always quite sure, you know, why there are shifts like that. It seems to go with kind of what Sam Kieth is in the mood to draw. I do think this is a really cool shot of the MAXX, and it's funny, and I've never thought of this before, but just now looking at the MAXX here specifically with this depiction, there is something about the MAXX, and again, I can't believe I didn't realize this until now, where his face is kind of skull-like. You know, there's something akin to a skull in the depiction of his face occasionally, not all the time, but it's more obvious here. And almost, if I could say, has a similarity to Spawn's face once the mask is off, and in and around. They kept changing his face and saying it was a different change, but in around maybe issue 50 when he went to hell, Spawn, and we'll see those later in later reviews when we get to the Spawn series. But yeah, there's something akin to the look of Spawn in around issue 50. Just that skull-like kind of look. I think looks pretty cool here. The MAXX looks maybe a little bit more menacing here with that look, the heavy shadows and stuff. Great ink work from Sam Kieth. Just one of the cool shots of the MAXX here, I think. And then again, I've talked about how the level changes. Here he goes a little quicker and cartoonier, which is fine too. As a kid, I found it a little jarring at first, and then I kind of got used to it, that type of storytelling. Great silhouette here. Very cool. And more of that funky circular layout. So, I mean, just a quick introduction here to PITT. You know, he just shows up, I guess. Love this shot of PITT here. Love, you know, the Sam Kieth depiction of the anatomy, the arm hair and stuff. Looks great. All of that. The posture, right? The like pelvic thrust of it all is just hilarious, I guess. So is Sam Kieth trying to say something here where, like, you know, Pitt is basically just all penis or all testosterone, or, you know, all kind of male rage or something? There's some symbolism here, I guess, is what I would say. But yeah, just also a great shot and great use of shadows, and again stretching it out on the MAXX there, where, you know, it's just very cartoony compared to, you know, Pitt. There's a certain level of cartooning going on here, but like these two faces here, you know, he's it's the idea and the expression that he's trying to convey with these two is more important than, you know, the level of drawing or realism in this issue. This illustration here. But I think it works overall. All this stuff is great, right? Again, more of that circular thing, off kilter. Using using the MAXX's foot as the bottom of the panel somehow, you know, to kind of delineate a little bit there. Very cool. I always love this shot of Pitt jumping here. I think that looks really good. And he's doing the Sam Kieth hands. This is almost the same hands as the Izzes, right? Love the Pitt face here. I think that looks really cool. You know, Sam Kieth seems to be more and more cluing in on the fact that, you know, just like the MAXX, you know, some of the focus of Pitt is about his teeth, right? And his perfect, just big teeth that he's got. So Julie's interjecting some femininity and basically telling him, yeah, stop your stupid macho kind of bullying, pushing around crap, right? And kind of sets them straight, which is funny. And then for some reason, there's lots of Izzes, so they go, they actually run away, I think is what's going on there. Real quick, I thought they were maybe running towards the Izzes, but no, it's the opposite. Another shot here, very cool, of Sam Kieth, not just doing pen and ink in his comics. He's kind of done a painted bit down here, which I think looks awesome, right? Of this creature that's slowly creeping up on, I think it's on Julie. And I think maybe this is done much bigger, maybe on a canvas, or, you know, it's an actual painting from the size of the Kieth signature here, and probably reduced for the comic. We got some B story here. Sarah's talking to a bag, which I think ends up being Mr. Gone's head, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty weird again. You know by now that this is a pretty weird comic. So yeah, I mean, I guess he wants to get through it pretty quickly. Whatever bits of plot he wants to get through with Sarah, because he does it all on one page here, and there are a lot of panels compared to most of the other pages. So I guess he's just finding an economical way to get through that part of the story. Probably saying, got to get this done in one page. Starting to see some assists here. So from Jim Sinclair. I love this profile face of Pitt, because I don't think we've rarely seen Pitt depicted that way. I feel like Sam Kieth is almost doing a bit of a riff on Dale Keown kind of hatching here on the chin. But, you know, most times, almost 90%, 95% of the time, Pitt is sneering and his mouth is open or his teeth are out. And here it's just kind of like, I imagine Pitt waiting for the bus just probably looks like this. You know, not that Pitt would be waiting for the bus, but you see what I mean? Like your bus stop face. That face, your neutral face that you've got on when you're out in the world and you're just not thinking or feeling anything specific, right? That's Pitt's bus stop face right there. So this stuff here, basically the Izzes have convinced Pitt that one of them is Timmy, the boy that he's trying to protect, right, in the Pitt series. And so for some reason, Pitt walks into the apartment with the MAXX and seems to think he's done something to Timmy. And again, all of a sudden, I don't know why, but they just shrink and become very small. And the adventure continues at that size. Good shots of the Iz here. I feel like maybe some of this, again, is his assistant, Sinclair. I might be wrong here, but you'll see more like this. A lot of this sequence, this here, right? This doesn't feel like Sam Kieth backgrounds, to be honest. Feels a little photo referenced, which is fine, or maybe an even light boxed, right? Done more technically, I guess is how I'd put it. And it just doesn't feel like Sam Kieth, so I feel like this is the assistant doing some stuff here. And the contour lines on the characters. The characters are far away, so it makes less of a difference, right? It's not a huge problem. It's not major close-ups and stuff that are being given to finishes or the assistant, right? Does bring back a bit of Sarah here on these pages. Love this kind of, you know, abstract kind of scene flowing through the less abstract scene, the actual, you know, scene that we're going through and the characters that we're following, and just this kind of, and how it starts off kind of sketchy and scratchy and becomes more illustrative. Here, I think that's just such a great shot of what seems to be, I guess, a horse blowing smoke out of its nose. You know, I guess it's some sort of anger boiling and coming out of the wall, right? Like that's kind of the metaphor, possibly. And even just this strip here, you know, like very, very abstract thinking with Sam Kieth here on this layout and on this double page spread. Made it very interesting, right? On this double page spread, the storytelling and the metaphor is what's important, not like a big splashy, crazy, big image, right? So yeah, more stuff here that I definitely think, pretty sure all of this stuff, like maybe even all or almost all of this page is by Jim Sinclair. Maybe a bit of Sam Kieth touches in the end here, the lettering, this word here. But even this, like, I don't see any Sam Kieth really in the textures and the line work and the contour. So I definitely think this stuff, all of this stuff. And when it comes to drawing more, again, of the backgrounds and knives and things that maybe are a little more technical, seems to want to pass it off to Jim Sinclair. Again, I almost feel like both these two pages were done by him and not by Sam Kieth. You get more of that here, right? Here, definitely think that's Sam Kieth. More than likely this is as well. And these are just suppositions, right? I could be wrong on all of this, but definitely not Sam Kieth here. Not that either. Again, the major clue is that there's no, you know, none of that telltale Sam Kieth hatching. The lines just kind of finish off. No added bits of feathering. The thin contour. It's just, it really does seem like a different line. Even this here, right? We're literally using, at this point, it seems like an actual photocopy or a stat for the backgrounds. Those are VCR tapes, VHS tapes. Ancient. My older subscribers will know what that is, but the younger ones will not. So Sarah, with all that's going on in her life, walks in and just sees a small Max and Pitt fighting a huge Is in her apartment. So yeah, just an odd bit of reality in the Max universe. And here we are again in the Outback. Julie is a giant. Still, we've got Mr. Gone, who's still alive in the Outback, but in some sort of miniature form here. And I think he wants to throw a blow dart at Julie or something. And this creature that's been creeping along that we saw earlier is going to change his plans there. And once we get to him on these pages here, there's some pen and ink in there, but a lot of coloring and paint and watercolor, maybe some pastels in there possibly, but a lot of different mediums being used here again, once again on this page here. This guy looks cool, right? Cartoony, but still with dimensionality, I guess. 3D feels thick. You know, kind of a Frazetta cartoony vibe, I guess is how I describe it. I thought this was clever, just with a bit of white paint, I'm assuming, or white medium is how he did the Mr. Gone behind the tower here. Love the look here, too, of his face, right? Very Star Wars. Maybe kind of a... Sam Kieth probably has, I guess, takes some inspiration from Star Wars creatures. Or maybe it's vice versa. They steal from him a little bit in those prequels. Cool, kind of menacing, almost full silhouette depiction of Pitt here. Looks really good, kind of scrappy inking and stuff. I think it works for the character, right? That type of gruff, you know, his 5 o'clock shadow, all that stuff. I think Sam Kieth does a pretty good version of Pitt. And he even leaves us, I think, possibly on purpose, with the most close to accurate version, I guess, of Pitt that we've seen in this whole issue, as far as what imagery we're used to seeing of Pitt, which is generally this kind of shot here. Pitt kind of smiling with his teeth out, with just a very menacing look. So this is almost like he lifted it a little bit from Pitt #1, the cover, right? And then again, you've got one last cool Sam Kieth image with a really rough, thick contour, right? That's what's cluing me in as to what Sam Kieth does and what his assistant is doing. The contour line is completely different. And just really going pretty cartoon here and going past the edges and stuff and doing some weird impressionistic, almost abstract stuff, you know. and it gives it a rough look, but it works really well. And then he still comes in with some more subtle hatching, which is I guess the Sam Keith trademark there. So yeah, good shot of the MAXX there. I like that. Just sometimes he just does straight lines for things, and like I love the chances he takes and the cartooniness he adds sometimes, and then the grittiness in other times, and the mix of the two. There's just something very interesting and textural about his work, and tactile, I guess, that I really enjoy. So there you have it. Anything? This is an odd depiction of Mr. Gone with his, shapely butt. Just odd. Not badly drawn though. I think it looks pretty cool. This one's very small, but I like that. Yeah, so this is kind of the general sneering PITT look that we got, and that's an interesting one because that's Dale Keown inked by Scott Williams, who I think probably is very suited to that and does a really great job. Pretty close to the Dale Keown regular hatching look. I feel like maybe when I talk about the Incredible Hulk issues, I say that Dale Keown inked by someone else, the lines are always a little too thick as to what I feel Dale Keown would do. With Scott Williams, I feel they're just slightly thinner than what he would do. But I still think it looks good. Works really well. I think maybe the thinner version of the Dale Keown inking works better than the thicker version. Oh, Savage Dragon versus Super Patriot coming in Savage Dragon #9. We'll be reviewing that soon enough. And Violator, which is art-wise a pretty interesting series. Always liked it. Written by Alan Moore, so that's interesting for sure. So I'll be reviewing that one at some point as well. So there you have it. That was the MAXX #7. Thank you to all my subscribers for being there and checking out the videos. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching the videos and you don't yet have a subscription, please subscribe below. It really helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Helps get us out there and send the message of King Comics out to the world. So thank you for all your support. I appreciate it. And everyone out there, please have an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KINGCOMICS.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.